All right, we're on record for our first regular review. The mother, Miss Faith Double, is out chatting with her attorney at this moment, but there are a couple of other parents and some updates, and we need to get started. So she'll be able to rejoin us as soon as she's done with that, and she's already starting that. So hopefully we'll have her back soon. I have names of our participants.
Lee Heiss, lawyer, guardian ad litem.
Ms. Taja Thomas, counsel for the department.
Chelsea Grant for the department. Alexis Stang, attorney for the respondent father, Austin Doobie.
Michael McFarland, represent the other father. Please introduce yourself.
Jeffrey Grayson.
Can the court hear that?
I did.
Thank you.
Okay, and I do know we have Miss Ariel Berger and Faith Double chatting at the moment. They are both here. And I'll be rejoining us shortly. All right, Ms. Heiss, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. The court report is very thorough and gives us a lot of medical information, a lot of early on evaluations. I see this case as we've been familiar with these parents for a while through different cases, and it looks to me like with the department's eyes on the children, we're going to make progress and get some the littlest one caught up on her breathing issues. We're going to get JJ fixed by his counselor, who not only does IHT, but also sees him at Boys and Girls Club one-on-one. That therapist at Parkside indicated that we don't suspect physical abuse, but the bruising and the rough and tumble may need more supervision. So I think that's a different kind of a case than so that we can partner with the parents and make progress. The therapist indicates that the children are growing up in an environment that is hostile, which could have negative effects on the children. And this is an opportunity for Miss Double, who has so many strengths. And I look forward to watching her accept this extra help, extra eyes on to perfect what all the kids need. There are some reports that are some of the kids' needs, for example, for medication, with 4 kids and a job and everything that's going on, it must be hard. But with the support, we can make sure that JJ gets his ADHD medicine on time so that he doesn't disrupt Boys and Girls Club. Let me look here. So some of these outstanding referrals, just a minute here. I wanted to make a note of, especially Aurora's medical things. We need to make sure that mom has the support she needs. I'm hoping to have the family better organized by the time we're done with the case and supports in place. Possibly the domestic violence between both of the fathers maybe, and mother support is what my theme is. I observe the children, the 3 younger children at daycare, and they're very enmeshed in daycare. They're an important part of their friend groups. There was a period of time, this review period, where the kids were missing from daycare, which alerted the caseworker, and she got them right back into that. She worked with mom, who got the children right back into that structured environment where they're building relationships and they can have this consistent caregiving in a very the environment looks very respectful to children. So I did not visit JJ face to face, but I'm really looking forward to observing him with Chris especially. But I think this case is very hopeful that we can get where we're going. It's been a long time that we've had these loose ends, and I'm interested to see after Mr. Dubai's treatment, how much better he can become. He's on probation. He's doing what he needs to do. So many good strengths in this family, but altogether it can be a mess sometimes because there just looks like there's so much to do. So I'm looking forward to the family getting better organized, which is crazy because Miss Faith is very on top of a lot of things. It's just that when she turns her backs, the kids fall off their bike and get hurt at soccer, and they rough and tumble, which is what started this case. Rough and tumble, and the kids get a bruise, and everybody needs to make sure that there's enough support in the family to reach all the goals. But I look forward to working as a cooperative team to get this family supported, and all the kids need supported. So that concludes my report.
Yeah. The record should reflect we have been rejoined by Ms. Hubble as well as Ms. Berger virtually, so welcome back. Ms. Thomas, how would you like to start?
Thank you, Your Honor. Considering our time, I would like to call parents first with the understanding that I will keep questioning pretty brief, if that's agreeable to the other attorneys.
Yes.
No
Okay.
objection.
I'll ask Ms. Faith Double to be sworn in, please.
All right, Ms. Hubble, come on up to our witness.
Good morning, Ms. Double. So I'm just calling parents first to allow them an opportunity to sort of share how they feel their last review period went, how they feel their progress in their case service plan has gone, and if there's still areas of need that the family has and you would like to work towards on the next review period.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
it because I was actually just talking to my lawyer about that out in the hallway. So one of the reasons why the kids sat out of daycare for so long is because first Braxton was having problems with his asthma, and we were told by urgent care not to bring him back. And well, not permanently, obviously, but until his asthma got better. And that's when he went with my friend. And then they caught head lice. And so I had to take care of that before I could send them back to daycare. So them sitting out of daycare was not my fault to begin with, but I do want to, so I have been giving my son his medicine the way he's supposed to. There was one time that his dad actually took his medicine up there because my car broke down. And it was at my cousin's house, and I had no way of going up there to give him his medicine. But I read through the whole entire court report, and I wanted to say that I disagree with a lot of the stuff actually that was put in there. Like, for instance, that I don't give my son his medicine the way he's supposed to, and that it could disrupt his learning. I signed a paper with the school last year. The school has been giving him his medicine since last year. And so the school calls me whenever they get low on his pills, and I just take them more in, but nobody even asked me about that. Just so you're aware that I feel like that was somebody not doing their job properly. Because there's no proof that I was not giving my son his medicine. And like I said, I signed a paper with the school last year where they dispersed both of his medications to him in the morning and in the afternoon.
So I just want to clarify, are you responding to a sentence that states this, and there's two sentences, Madeline reports ongoing concerns of the parents not meeting medical needs of the children. This includes treating the children's asthma and distributing medications appropriately as prescribed and following through on referral recommendations. And
I have told Madeline several times that we give him, he takes 2 different inhalers. I don't know the exact names of them. One starts with a B and the other one is just, I forgot what the other one's called. But the one that starts with a B is supposed to be given to him in the morning and at night. Me and Jeff give him both of his doses, and the albuterol is as needed. And so we give that to him as needed. But the one that starts with a B, me and Jeff take turns. Well, more not like take turns, but we both give him the morning and the one he's supposed to go have before bedtime.
And you understand that Ms. Grant is simply reporting what was told to her, correct?
I just don't appreciate the fact that you guys are supposed to be helping us be a better family, but you guys are putting stuff that's slanderous in there because it's definitely not true. And then nobody even asked me, nobody even approached me to be like, hey, is this true or not? And I feel like as part of your guys' job, you should be doing that instead of putting stuff in your court report that is not true and is slander. It's slander. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But those are my kids. And like for you guys to put in a court report that we're not giving him their medicine the way they're supposed to, it really does hurt my feelings because I try really hard to be a good mother. And when you guys are putting stuff in the court report that is not true, really hurts my feelings.
Ms. Stubble, I don't mean to just dispute that. I just am stating that the sentence indicates that that's the medical provider's concern.
And she has no proof of that either. I've told her repeatedly that he gets both of his doses and the albuterol as needed.
Okay.
And every time he's gotten any antibiotics, every time they've gotten any antibiotics, we have given them all of their medicines like they're supposed to.
Okay. And I know that there's some concern about frustration for having to go through like the background checks for people who are providing care to the children.
Yes. I did ask Chelsea. I sent her a message and I don't feel like I was being mean at all or I was being like out there at all. I just simply stated that she's taking all of my support systems away from me, and that Leona, I don't know if you guys are aware, the one that she tried to say is not fit for my kids to watch. Leona has 50-50 of her own kids. So how could you guys deem her fit for her own kids, but tell me that she can't watch mine?
Sure. I think that's not a question your attorney could answer for you, okay?
And also I kind of felt like you guys were picking and choosing who you wanted to be in their lives because like you have one person that Chelsea is saying that my kids are safe to be around, even though her kids have been in and out of foster care. And it doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay. All right. And I think that those can be answered with like a family team meeting between Ms. Grant, and if Ms. Berger can also join, that'd be a really good idea, I think. Otherwise, how do you feel like IHT is going and the in-home services that you're getting?
I love Chris, and JJ absolutely loves Chris. I feel like he has definitely developed a bond with Chris, and it's going good.
And you are still employed?
Yes. I probably put in about 50, 55, 60 hours a week.
Generally, the court report is pretty favorable that you're compliant with all of your elements of your case service plan. Do you feel that that part is accurate?
The case service plan?
Yes.
Yes. I just did not like the court report.
And as relates to contact with Mr. Juby, are you still able to not have contact with him? It seems that there's you're not allowed to have contact with Mr. Juby, is that correct?
Mr. Juby is not allowed to have contact with me.
Okay.
And there's nothing court reported saying that I cannot communicate with him.
Okay. And you're aware of the upcoming appointments for the psychological trauma assessments and for the kids. Are you aware of those appointments?
Yes, I got a planner actually, and I wrote every single appointment down in my planner, and I look at my planner every day when I wake up in the morning.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions at this time. Other attorneys might, okay? Thank you.
Questions, Ms. Berger?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Stubble, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. You had indicated that in the court report there was a reported incident of arguing at the pediatrician's. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you explain that for the court, please?
That was another thing that I disagree with. So Jeff had 2 of the kids at their pediatrician appointment, and we were talking over the phone. I don't know if he had me on speakerphone or whatever, but we were talking over the phone. And I was actually working at the time the kids were supposed to be picked up from daycare. And so he had already run over his appointment time, the appointment time for the kids by an hour. And we had figured that he would be done with the appointment, their appointments, before it was time to, he should have been, technically, he should have been done with the appointments before 5. But the pediatrician was running behind apparently. But anyways, so we were debating, not really arguing, because every minute that is after 5, we have to pay $2 a minute for every minute after 5. And we have 3 kids that are enrolled in the daycare. So that's really like $6 a minute, every minute that we're late. So I was trying to tell him that he should explain to the pediatrician that he has to leave to go pick up the other kids, because in all reality, who can afford that?
Okay. So was he able to leave then and go get them?
Yes, he did explain to the pediatrician that he had to be at the daycare at 5 to go get the other kids. And he probably had to rush her a little bit, but we still got to the kids in time. But we weren't arguing. We were simply discussing who is gonna go pick up the kids, because like I said, we were working, and it's $2 a minute for every minute we're after 5.
Okay. And there was also mentioned in the court report, an ASD evaluation for your son in Ann Arbor, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And can you explain to the court a little bit more about that, please?
Okay, so his pediatrician did send out a referral to DHS to have him tested. I took him into DHS like the pediatrician wanted me to. They sent me a letter stating that they could not offer services to him because they didn't feel like he needed them. And then she sent out a referral to a place in Ann Arbor to get him tested for autism. And when I called the place in Ann Arbor, they told me that they had years waiting list, years. And I went back to Dr. Madeline and I told Dr. Madeline what they had told me. And she replied to me that she is not surprised and that she would try to figure out something else. She never got back to me at all.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to add today?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other questions for you, but some of the other attorneys might still, okay?
Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
Yes. Talking to Mr. Patterson, isn't it true that you've had tubes put in your ears when you were younger, and you
Yep.
tend to project your voice loud, which might be misunderstood as argumentative, but it's just loud. Would that be accurate?
That is very accurate. I had tubes put in my ears when I was, and this, Chelsea says that I get loud sometimes. It's not really me getting loud. It's the fact that I did have tubes put in my ears when I was small, and I still can't hear right.
Thank you. And you know that if you can't hear us, you can just let everybody know.
Well, sometimes I do, and then sometimes Jeff will be like, really, you have to say the same thing 3 times? Yeah, you do, because I can't hear you.
Thank you very much. Nothing further.
Ms. Spencer?
I have nothing.
Where's our GA? Ms. Heights?
No questions today. Thank you so much.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat.
Thank you.
Ms. Thomas, who would you like to hear from next?
Mr. Patterson, please.
Deputy, would you swear in Mr. Jeffrey Patterson, please?
Mr. Patterson, you heard the questions that I asked. Okay. And is there anything that you would like to state on your behalf as to how your portion of the case is going?
I'm just waiting for my assessments, for my psych eval and trauma assessment. We're just waiting for the dates so I can attend them. Other than that, it's just prepping and a lot of waiting.
Okay. And overall, your court report as it relates to compliance with the case service plan is also pretty favorable. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Are there any concerns as it relates to the contents of the court report that you would like to explain?
I don't think so.
And you're aware of the date and time for your psychological evaluation as it's scheduled?
Yep.
And during this review period, you've been active with the IHT services?
Yep.
Okay. And do you find those helpful for your family at this time?
Of course.
And is there anything you want to tell the court today?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you. I have no questions. No further questions. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
Yes, you and I have had a discussion that we would like a copy of the trauma assessments on the kid and your psychological report as soon as they're completed, rather than waiting until the next review, so you can understand what's going on. Is that correct?
Yes.
You also heard Faith's testimony that you and her did not have an argument, just her talking loud. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
Okay. As far as priorities, do you think you understand what you need to do in what order and that's being accomplished?
Of course.
Any concerns you might have?
No, maybe just that we possibly get it maybe a little bit more prioritized for the
So I will ask the worker, as you and I discussed, and maybe ask her the priority for you, okay? I have nothing further.
Ms. Spencer, any questions?
Nope, nothing. Thank you.
Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Heiss?
Mr. Patterson, it wasn't clear to me in the court report. It looks like you're working full-time, that's right?
yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what kind of work you do?
Work at Martin Rea, fast-paced assembly tables, clip cell with brake lines, fluid, and they do fuel and brake there.
Okay, and then do you and Miss Double have independent transportation? She has a car, you have a car?
Yes, we do. We have 2 cars. They're both in her name, but we share them.
Are your services for this case something you can accomplish without missing time from work?
Easily. I'll make
Very
time.
good. Nothing further.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. You're welcome. Your next witness,
Mr. Austin Juby.
Mr. Dupuy.
All right, help us. What is the correct pronunciation of your last name?
Juby.
Juby, okay. Mr. Juby, you've heard the other parents testify. Is there anything that you would like to state about your side of the case?
No.
Okay,
Just that I'm waiting for my psych eval on the 5th at 3 o'clock.
okay.
And then I got a call on CMH today to get the other stuff set up.
One of
Let me
the,
ask him to speak up just a bit. I have a fan above my head.
Did you hear, do you want him to repeat?
No, I could make it up.
Okay, thanks.
and you have indicated, at least per the court report, that you are or are going to be attending AA/NA meetings. Is that correct?
AA meetings.
Okay. Have you been able to maintain your sobriety since rehab and when you're discharged on June 26th?
Of course.
And do you realize that you have to give a copy of your AA or NA meeting logs to Ms. Grant?
Yeah, but I haven't been to any, so I haven't been able to get it. I don't know where they are around town here, and my home groups are all in Ann Arbor. I don't have transportation.
Okay. So a list of local groups may be helpful for you?
Yeah, I know there's one at the court, in the probation office downstairs. I just gotta go take a picture of it.
And currently, you are waiting for housing?
Yeah, transitional, but if I can find my own place before that, I'm going with that.
And are you
Yes.
working at this time?
Yeah, through Express Staffing and Tecumseh.
Have you participated in or engaged in any parenting time classes or parenting education classes? I'm sorry.
No, Chelsea told me she was gonna group that with my supervised visitation.
And as relates to like the individual therapy, is that something that you're is that what you're referring to by going to CMH?
Yeah, I'm gonna get individual therapy. Try to get back on my Abilify.
Okay. It looks per prior court orders, your parenting time was suspended back in October. Is that accurate?
Mhm.
And what is your position on parenting time right now? Is that something you're seeking?
I wish, yeah, of course, I miss my kids every day.
To the best of your understanding, what do you need to do in order to get parenting time back?
I don't know, you guys tell me what I need to do and then I do it. Just doing with my kids' servicemen, that's all I can do. If I had it my way, I'd go see my kids right now.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell the court?
Not that it hasn't already been said.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Austin, did you remind me what happened with your criminal charges? You're on probation? And when did you enter a plea and start your probation?
I entered a plea last September because they weren't gonna let me out of jail unless I did. So I took a plea of aggravated assault and a year probation, $1,400 fines.
But you were in jail at the time this was filed in April, no? Is that not right?
Oh, no, that's a different one. That's with a
Okay.
whole other prison. That's with Dakota,
Okay, so you're on probation you're still on probation for the one you just talked about, though. Is that right? Because it would have been,
yeah, they extended my original probation, yeah.
all right. And then you had some fines. Is that through Lenawee County, the aggravated
Yes.
assault one?
Yes.
That's, got it, all right. What are the other terms of your probation? Are you drug testing, counseling?
Yeah, I drug tested. I got a drug test tomorrow.
Who's your probation officer now?
Liz Westgate.
All right, does Liz know to release like your drug test results and some of those updates to the caseworker?
I think she does. Okay, yeah.
Next time you meet with Liz, will you let her know to talk with Ms. Grant or sign whatever releases you need to?
Okay.
That way you don't have to test it 3 different places.
Okay, it doesn't matter to me.
Good.
Yeah, I could do
All right, what other services are required for you on your probation?
that. Services, anger management, which I can do online. It's an 8-hour class.
Have you started that one yet?
Yes, bits and pieces, but I haven't been through the whole 8 hours yet.
All right. Anything else?
No.
And then you said there was another case? What's the other one?
Okay, so there's an aggravated assault case from last year.
Okay.
And then there is a domestic violence case from this year.
So that's where you were, did that new charge a violation for you when you're probation?
Yeah, it was a violation, but they gave me 90 days suspended. So I could go to rehab, and then I just.
Is the the new domestic violence charge been resolved?
No,
When's your next court date?
August 7th.
Thank you. What does that set for?
I'm not sure what time.
Does it pretrial sound right?
Oh, I think it's an arraignment.
Arraignment?
I don't think it's a pretrial yet.
All right. Okay, you can keep Ms. Grant up to date on that, please. All right, other questions for this witness? Ms. Spencer, would you like to start?
Just briefly, Austin, in the court report, it stated that the caseworker tried to contact you on 7/15 and 7/16 and hadn't heard back from you.
I have a call log on my phone where I called her back.
Okay.
She didn't answer, and then I never tried to call back again, and I never received a call back, but I did end up seeing her the other day. She came out to the house and saying. she's
Okay.
somewhere.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No, other than the reason I didn't report the larceny charge is because I heard about it 2 weeks before I even got out of rehab. So it's not like I could just pick up a phone and be like, hey, this happened.
Okay,
But I should have reported it when I got out, but I wasn't thinking about all that.
okay. Nothing further, thank you.
What's the larceny charge?
It's I stole some money, like $300.
Are you on probation for that?
No, I haven't even been in court for that.
Okay, well, then don't talk about it on the record.
Well, I already admitted it to a detective, and they got me on recording, so. They said they could have me out with like a payment plan.
All right, so that one's pending too? Do you know
Yeah.
when your next court date is for that?
No, I have no idea. I haven't heard nothing about it.
Okay. Are there any other ones out there?
No, that's it.
Okay, all right.
It's a handful of misdemeanors.
Okay. Mr. McFarland, any questions?
None.
Ms. Berger?
No, you're good, thank you.
Ms. Heiss?
Just briefly, Mr. Doobie, do you
Yes.
get the court reports before court?
Yes.
Okay, I was reading the one for today and it said that you can't live with your mother because some kids live there. Is that right?
Well, yeah, because the kids go out there, yeah. Like
Oh,
my kids go out there.
These kids go to your mom's, so that's why you can't live there?
Yeah. May 23rd.
Don't we have a drug screen after that? Just looking here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Anyway.
Plenty.
I mean, a positive one for, I've got here. When you say a clean screen, do you mean THC is a clean screen?
Yeah. I don't.
Okay.
There's no
All right,
method.
Okay, got it. And don't we have a screen? Oh, May 23rd. All right, so May 23rd is your sobriety date. You are employed full-time?
Yes.
And how do you transport? Do you drive yourself?
I use my Lamborghinis. I walk.
Oh, I thought you said Lamborghini and I thought, wait. Would you say that the children's mom, Malachi and Braxton's mom, is mostly in charge of their medical, their daycare decisions and that kind of stuff, or do you participate equally?
She's in charge of all that stuff.
Okay, we're gonna have some reports done on your two boys and I hope you'll take time to read them. Will you look? Okay, and then you know that Malachi is being treated for speech, right?
Yes.
The
He's been
last
in
time
speech-
you, go ahead.
So, I was saying he's been in speech therapy for a long time.
Okay, so you're aware of that. The case where you have a provision where you can have no contact with Miss Double, which case is that? Is that a probation case or a bond?
That is the aggravated assault case, the probation case.
So she has no duty to not contact you, but you have a duty to not contact her, right?
Yes.
So this court report is talking about communication between you two. Is this something we should work on if you need contact for the benefit of the kids?
Absolutely.
Which probation officer is in charge of that? No contact.
Liz Westgate.
Have you been violated for contact with Faith?
Yeah, but they gave me 90 days suspended.
All right. Okay. Nothing further. Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. Any other witnesses, Ms. Thomas?
Ms. Grant, Your Honor.
Ms. Grant, come on up.
Good morning, Ms. Grant.
Good morning.
As relates to your court report with you've included several attachments. Thank you for being thorough. We've heard testimony from the parents, but from your perspective, are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to this report? The one modification I would make is where I had written that Austin was attending Packard Health and his outpatient treatment through New Vision. He did not report to any of that. Did move back to Lenawee County. I did have contact with him last week where I encouraged him to call and get an assessment through CNH or anything like that because his Medicaid is still active, so that way he can get in services here and get a referral to one of the facilities around here to start his outpatient. Otherwise, everything else remains the same? Yes. Okay. And the children are placed with their parents other than Mr. Doobie's children who are not having parenting time right now, correct? Correct. What is the risk of harm if the court were to release jurisdiction today? I think at this time, the risk of harm would be that I'd want to continue to provide the support and the follow through for the family. I think that the family is kind of, I should say specifically, Faith and Jeff are kind of doing things on their own, just need a little bit of direction. They've been cooperative, doing everything I've asked them to do. I think it's just really putting that support so that Faith does not continue to have CPS in her life as she has had multiple times for multiple years and just wants to be a mom. And I think at this point we owe her that due diligence to continue that support to put her and Jeff and even Austin here where they need to be. Part of the conditions that caused the court to take jurisdiction were in part generalized parenting skills, correct? Correct. I think there was some medical concerns. There was some improper supervision concerns. Okay. And no parenting classes directed at that have started yet, is that correct? That's correct. So the family right now is working with IHT for the dynamics of the home. And when it comes with their communications and working with their children specifically in their home. And so an element of the parenting education is coming through IHT. Correct. Okay. And it also seems by the report that there's sort of this wait and see from the trauma assessments and the psychologicals, what more can be offered to the family to ensure that long-term stability. Is that accurate? Yes, I think so. I'll rephrase it. So it seems that there's also this, the department's also sort of waiting on the trauma assessments and the psychologicals to see what other services may be needed to ensure the family's long-term stability. Correct. So there seems to be a lot of discrepancies. So you have Faith and Jeff, who in their home specifically do not believe that there's any.
Can you speak up a little?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
There's a lot of discrepancies. So you have inside the home, when you talk to Faith and Jeff, like they believe they just have normal arguments. When you're looking at outside perspectives, service providers, family, fictive kin, numerous individuals, it seems a little more hostile than that. And then you have the kids where some providers are saying that they have no developmental concerns, but then we have the medical provider who's having multiple concerns for the kiddos. So I think the best direction at this point is to have the psychological, have the CTACs, and kind of base conclusively off of those thorough and complete reports that takes any and everybody into account and really determines what specifically needs to be worked on. And at this time, your report is asking that Mr. Doobie be permitted to attend the trauma assessment for the bonding component with his children. Is that correct? That is correct. And is that something that you're still recommending? I am. I'd like to see his behavior towards his children, his parenting or lack of parenting skills towards his children. I still maintain concern over his drug usage. Even though he is reporting to probation weekly, he is very much aware that it is every Wednesday. They are screening him here at the facility instead of on Colors due to the fact that he did not have the $20 that Colors requires. So he's being tested specifically here. His drug of choice, we are aware that doesn't always stay in system for a long time. And there's been a lot of concerns that he is still using outside of that respective Wednesday testing. Okay. And When this, I know that there was a custody order that suspended his parenting time prior to our involvement, but this court's orders supersede those. And at this time, is there a recommendation for parenting time to change, or are you still recommending it to be suspended?
I would like to see the bonding reports from there, and based upon what those recommendations are, I would ask that we would have the discretion to offer him supervised parenting with a provider, whether that is Ms. Edwards or therapeutic, based upon whatever the bonding assessment recommendations are.
Is there anything else you'd like to highlight for the court's attention today?
I don't think so.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions, and with that, I would move to admit the court report.
Objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you. The court report as well as the exhibits are received. Cross-examination, Ms. Berger,
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. McFarland.
You heard my client would like some instruction as far as prioritization. Can you maybe tell him where he should prioritize and maybe why?
Yep, so right now we're gonna wait for the psychological and the CTACs. The CTACs actually, I believe, start in 2 days. So I think his kiddos go first. So that would be a place for him to start. And then from there, we are gonna do a family team meeting with everybody. The problem is I was on vacation. There was another provider that was on vacation. So it's been hard to get everybody together. I know that me, Faith, and Jeff had one, but I think it would be important to have all of the providers together, and that way they feel like they're on the same page as well. And we're gonna go from there. I am also trying to touch base with the medical provider, as she has also been on vacation, and it's been touch and go with trying to get a hold of her of what has and hasn't been completed for all of the medical concerns that she has to be addressed.
So it sounds like the prioritization will occur at that family team meeting. Do I hear you correctly?
Yeah.
Lastly, be possible for you to send to my client and to all counsel a copy of the trauma assessments and my client's psychological as soon as you receive the reports, rather than waiting for the next review.
Yeah, I typically do that. I typically go over them with my clients. I'm not sure if other people do not do that, but I do typically, as soon as I receive them, go over them with my clients.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Ms. Spencer.
Yes, just briefly. You stated that you had a family team meeting previously with you and the other two parents, but not with Austin. Why was Austin not at that?
I did have one with Austin. It was a few days later. They do have a no contact order, so I was not going to violate that by putting them all together.
Okay, and then I guess what harm or risk of harm is the department specifically concerned about with my client having supervised visits? If those were supervised, I guess what risk of harm is there to be concerned about?
So when the petition was first entered into the court, I guess we should say, the concerns in there were that his parenting time was suspended and that he was still watching the children and exhibiting inappropriate discipline that was causing marks and bruises to them. According to what should have been accurate and then what was happening, he may not have been having contact with his children since back in October, but we know that to be inaccurate, as he admitted that he had seen them since that time. But the kids have not seen him. So I'd like to make sure that there's a bond and there's no adverse reactions to the kiddos when they see Austin for that first time.
Okay, and would you agree that there may actually be an adverse reaction, or it could appear that that bond might not be as strong due to the fact that he hasn't been able to see them?
Sure, and that's something I'd like to address and work forward moving with the bonding assessment.
Okay, so is it accurate then to state the only thing that needs to be done on Austin's end, at least, for him to be able to start that supervised contact is attending that bonding and trauma assessment with his children?
That, and I'd also like to see him follow through on his recommendations from his substance abuse. The recommendations were to finish without, continue with outpatient, follow through those things, and maintain stability in that.
Okay, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Ms. Heiss?
No questions. Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. Any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, witness testimony today, Mr. McFarland?
Nothing further.
Spencer?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Ms. Berger?
Nothing further, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Heiss,
No witnesses today, thank you.
closing comments?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, it seems that Ms. Double and Mr. Patterson are participating in services as needed and are continuing to be cooperative with the department. And Mr. Doobie is at least starting some of those services as well as completed rehab, seems to be interested in going to CMH for further assessments. As relates to parenting time for Mr. Doobie, we are asking the court to continue the suspension of parenting time just pending the trauma assessments, and then also more demonstrated sobriety and engagement in those services that we tend to see that demonstrate a commitment to sobriety, such as engagement with AA and NA. The order from the custody matter is dated for October 10th of 2023. That was attached to the original petition. The finding states that father failed to appear for either that hearing or the one prior, demonstrating a lack of interest in both his children and these proceedings. And that is why the court continued to suspend parenting time. I generally, when you look at the risk of harm for parenting time, it's not just physical, but also emotional and mental well-being. I think that the inconsistency poses that psychological harm that we want to prevent at this time. And so just getting dad to a little more stable and consistent with services and participation, seeing the baseline of their attachment and how to move forward, I think will help us develop a plan to progress towards those supervised visits. With that, we would just ask for standard 90-day review. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Spencer, let's go to you next. Comments?
Yes, we would be requesting that Austin be able to have supervised visits with his children starting as soon as possible, preferably before that trauma assessment actually occurs in August. He has shown that he has been sober for the last 2 months based on his drug tests. He has been in inpatient treatment since then. He testified today that he does wish to see his children as soon as possible. Regarding the prior no contact order that was entered in October that was just discussed, at that point in time, you know, it seems like Austin probably was not sober and was still struggling with the problems that brought this case about. But like I said, since May, he has been sober according to his drug tests. And if the visits were supervised and anything inappropriate even started to occur, they could be immediately ended. So we don't believe there would be any risk of harm with starting those supervised visits prior to the August assessment.
Has your client seen his children despite the no visits? All right, comments, Mr. McFarland?
I think my client's concerns have been addressed through testimony, nothing further.
Ms. Berger?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are asking also for another review period to allow case plan services to be continued and hopefully completed. But I think my client testified fairly well in relation to the updates that she would like to give in relation to the court report and the service plan. So at this time, we are just asking for one more review period and hopefully time to complete these service plans. Thank you.
All right, well, the court finds all interested parties for given notice for today's first regular review hearing. There were definitely a lot of, exhibits, and the report was very thorough. So thank you, Ms. Grant, for all your work. I know this is a fast-moving case with obviously 3 different parents and 2 sets of children and lots of concerns. So good work, all of you, in undertaking some of the challenges. Mr. Doobie got to rehab. That's good news. Ms. Double's doing her best to maintain things and to stay in communication with everybody. Mr. Patterson, the same. So that's good. That's good progress. I can't wait to see what happens in the next report period. I have received some of the indications that Native American heritage is not applicable in this case with regard to the exhibits that were filed today. So you don't have to worry about that, really, that piece anymore. The children are placed with Jeff Patterson and Faith Double. That is the safest and least restrictive under the circumstances that allows them to benefit from services like in-home therapy, which involves both parents and children in the context of the home. So that's a great program. I'll look forward to the findings on the psychologicals and additional referrals based on that, as well as the trauma assessments. On the request by Mr. Doobie for supervised parenting time, I will ask you, I think the trauma assessments are coming up pretty quickly. So we'll ask you to wait until that is completed. But after that piece, I would expect the department to work in some supervised visits for Mr. Doobie based on the recommendations and the structure that hopefully will be something the trauma assessor can speak to. So if you could make sure, Ms. Grant, that you reach out, and when Mr. Doobie's turn is up to talk about his bond and all of those things, please let them know that we're looking for a recommendation to transition him into some supervised parenting time. There's, of course, the program with Renee Moore as well, the reintroductory program. But I do think it's important to have him engaged with the CMA services. So that's another piece, Mr. Doobie, that we're going to expect you to take up and accomplish in order to make sure that parenting time is safe. Okay. So once those things are in place, we'll trust you to implement some supervised parenting time. Thank you, Ms. Grant. All right. We'll just continue monitoring services and supporting the family in the next report period. I would like to offer to you October 7th at 11 a.m. For our next review. If you can check your calendars, October 7th at 11 a.m.
Good for me.
Good for myself and my client.
It's up in the air, Your Honor, but I can put it on my calendar, and if I'm not available, I'll phone coverage.
Thank you. All right.
We're going our end.
Great, very good. All right, so we'll see you all. The review for all three parents concerned by this case, as well as the children. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Lee Heiss, lawyer guardian ad litem.
Nastasia Thomas, counsel for the department.
Chelsea Grant for the department.
Karen Montgomery for Ariel Bridges, for Faith Double Mother.
Faith Double, mother.
Michael McFarland, representing father, Mr. Patterson, please introduce yourself.
Alexis Stang on behalf of Austin Doobie.
Welcome. Ms. Heiss, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. I visited with the children face to face, and in this reporting period, we were all pretty worried about Mr. Doobie. And now that we see that he's okay, he was missing in action, and it was pretty stressful for everybody. But now we have him back. I visited these children face to face in their home. I had visited them at daycare prior. A lot of progress, although I don't know where they started from. I've worked with Mr. Patterson in the past and never really had the opportunity to see inside their family home. They're very cooperative. They're very, I see a nice household. I see kids that are bonded. I see Mr. Patterson doing parenting. You know, I don't always see that because mom looks like she does an awful lot around there. You know, all these teeny tiny little kids, and they eat at a little table set up so they don't fall and all that kind of stuff. I see a very child-focused home. The dog even behaves very well. But anyway, all their needs are being met, and these children are out of the home at daycare and at school. So there are extra eyes on these kids and extra people for evaluations and for their safety. Mr. Doobie's issues make me think that we're not completely settled, but other than that, the family seems to be cooperating and progressing in services, and I really can't say what could be done differently or better. So at this time, I think I will conclude with those comments. Thank you.
Yeah. Ms. Thomas.
Thank you. I'll call Mr. Doobie. Good morning, Mr. Doobie. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I just want to ask a couple questions about the court report, okay? Did you have an opportunity to review the court report?
I read most of the big packet that I was given by Chelsea.
Okay. And generally it says that during this review period, you have not been very compliant with your case service plan. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, the last thing, I relapsed. The last thing I did is I went to go get the counseling services, and right before I could get that set up, I ended up back out in the streets. So.
Okay.
You ended up what?
Back out in the streets.
Back out in the streets? Is that what you said?
Yep. That's what I said.
Okay. It's breaking up a little bit from your microphone over there, so I apologize. I want to make sure I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
The court report, okay, so briefly, the court report indicates that you are to serve 60 days in jail with, I believe that your start date on 9/20. And then after that, you'll do a 3-month day program at Dog Farms for substance abuse. Is that accurate to the best of your knowledge and understanding?
3 months, yeah, yeah. 60 days from, I thought it was the 23rd, but 20th would be better. And then 3 months at Dog Farms.
Okay. Well, one or the other. So 60 days from whatever your date of incarceration is considered or time served, and then Dog Farms. And is that something that you are committed to completing, that program at Dog Farms at this time?
Yeah, I am. I already filled out the both packets that Emily sent me. So that way I can get them right away. I don't have to wait.
You understand that some of the referrals that were made for you, like your psychological evaluation, that will have to be redone. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Is that a yes? Just we're making recordings, we just have to have you verbalized.
Yes, yeah, I understand that.
Is there, I know that you're kind of in a tough situation being incarcerated, but is there anything that the department might be able to do while you're incarcerated to assist in compliance with your case service plan?
I'm not sure. I've been signing up for AA and stuff. Chelsea asked me to do that, so other than that, I don't see what you guys can do on the outside for me.
Okay. I will recognize that in your body assessment, it seemed that there were no real concerns about your parenting, but more of the concern is your other choices and how it impacts your ability to parent. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, I have no further questions, but other attorneys may, okay?
Okay, Ms. Stang, any questions?
Yes, just briefly. Mr. Doobie, you testified that you signed up for AA. Did you also sign up for NA services as well?
No, I've only received a paper for AA. No.
Okay. Do you know when those classes will begin that you're going to attend?
They host them every Friday, but it's not my choice if I go or not. The sergeant picks out who goes.
Okay, so have you been able to attend yet at all then?
No, I told him it was important and that I was requested by Chelsea to go, and I haven't heard anything, but I've been still signing up just in case he picks me one day.
Okay. Have you received any papers or anything yet regarding parenting education?
No.
Okay. If you receive those from the department, do you intend to read them and learn as much from them as possible?
Yeah, if I get them, I'll read them.
Okay. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. McFarland?
No, thank you.
Okay, what about you, Ms. Dumont?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Heiss?
No, thank you.
We're good, thank you for your testimony. Ms. Thomas, your next witness.
I'll call Ms. Stubble.
Ms. Devil, come on up for a witness stand.
Morning, Ms. Stubble. So just some of the similar questions I asked Mr. Doobie, were you able to review the court report for today?
I read almost all of it, yes.
Okay, and generally speaking, it states that you're pretty compliant with your case service plan. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Was there anything in the court report that you did not agree with?
I mean, some of the stuff that was on the psychological, but I just want to get this over with.
Okay. Your psychological, I know that you don't necessarily agree with it, but the report indicates that it has been provided to your therapist, Mr. Quinlan, or a therapist?
Chris?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that you guys are working through that, is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. But I thank you for taking the kids to their appointments for the CTAC.
Yes.
It's a hard thing to get into and it helps the court know what's going on. Okay, so thank you for that. As Ms. I said, it seems like you're doing a lot, especially for your kiddos. Is there any area that you still feel like you need assistance with?
Not really. I'm just kind of getting used to like, before I've always had Jeff at the house to help me with the kids. So it's been a little bit different. I've just been getting used to But I found they actually listened to me better without Jeff being there. So it's just kind of getting used to the new schedule, I guess.
One of the things that's noted in here is the continued contact with Mr. Doobie. Is there anything that you can help us understand about that? It seems that it's part of his probation that he's not supposed to contact you, but do you guys have contact still? I know that he's incarcerated now, but prior to that?
Yes, I have had contact with him.
Can you help us understand like the why? Is it related
Like,
to the
why do I
children?
talk to him?
Yeah, is it related to the children or is it, or your?
I mean, we talk about the children. I told him that his son had school pictures. I mean, we don't talk about just like one thing.
Sure. As relates to the children's trauma assessments, were you able to review those recommendations?
Recommendations. No. Apparently not.
That's okay. There's a big court report, and there are several pages in each of the trauma assessments. But in that trauma assessment, there are also several handouts and resources. Did you review any of those?
No.
With that, I have no further questions.
Okay. Questions, Ms. Stang?
No, thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
No, thank you.
Ms. Dumont?
Ms. Stubble, once you're able to review those trauma assessments of the children and there's a recommendation, are you willing to look at that recommendation and see if that's something you would like to implement into children's lives, such as counseling or?
Well, we already have the in-home therapist that comes. Like, I don't know exactly what their recommendations were, but I pretty much follow everything that's in my case service plan. I do everything that I'm supposed to do. So I don't know what she could possibly recommend.
Okay. Okay.
Ms. Heiss?
We had a family team meeting where we talked about these trauma assessments for the kids. And then at the end of the trauma assessments, there's a list of things that each child would need in a perfect world. So those are the recommendations that we're talking about. Are you willing to take another look at those and read them again?
Yeah.
And then after that, there's some books and some articles that are listed so that you're familiar with those things. Do you understand? In a perfect world, you would read all that stuff and know it all. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to be sure that we're clear. You have what you need to look at those things. I think it's your plan to keep the kids enrolled in school and in daycare where other people are giving them therapies that they need.
Yeah.
So like ISD will pick up at some point because some of the boys don't speak very clearly.
Yeah.
I think the boy that's name begins with a B and the boy that begins with an M. Well, we're on video, so.
Oh.
So
Okay, sorry.
B and M don't seem to speak very clearly, or is it me?
The last time he got tested, they said that he tested out of all services, that he didn't need any services. I'm thinking maybe since he's gotten a little bit older, it might like be borderline maybe. I mean, I'm not saying that he's way off of where he should be. He's definitely not. But Malachi, yes, we've been struggling with that for a while. I don't necessarily think it's because he's autistic. I definitely don't think he's autistic. I just think that the kids have been through a lot.
Yeah. And when you say Jeff isn't there, he's working now, right?
Yeah. Well, he was working before. He just changed jobs to a better paying job. One that he likes better, apparently.
And then you work during the day too.
Yes.
Okay.
I work all the time.
Okay. And then I don't think I have anything else. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Thomas, any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Any recross from any of our attorneys?
No questions.
All right, thank you for your testimony. May return your seat. Your next witness, Ms. Thomas.
Jeffrey Patterson briefly, Your Honor.
Mr. Patterson.
Morning, Mr. Patterson.
Morning.
Did you have the opportunity to review the court report that Ms. Grant prepared for today's hearing?
I skimmed over it.
And based on what you skimmed, do you have any issues with what you reviewed? Anything that you felt was not accurate?
About 95.
Can you scoot up to the microphone a little bit and,
About 95.
About 95%, 95. Can you clarify that? It's 95% accurate?
Yeah.
Generally, it says that, you know, you're either compliant with or in progress with some of with essentially all of your case service plan. Did you agree with that part?
Yeah.
What was the 5% you did not agree with?
Are we talking about just mine or in a general whole?
For your portion.
Oh, well, then it's about 95, yeah.
Okay, so it was the 5% you did not agree with?
First,
Oh, okay. So for yours, your portion, you believe that that's accurate? Okay. And Ms. Hubble just testified that you are currently working in a new position, so, okay. And are you working more hours, it sounds like then, or just different hours?
there's different hours, because normally before I'd get up at like 4 in the morning and then be back out at work at like 2:30. Now I'm going in at noon and I get out at 9. So it's just different hours, but it's better pay, it's less wear and tear. It's just better in general for me.
And how do you feel IHG has gone for you?
Good.
Do you feel like you benefited from that service?
Oh, yeah.
Did you have the opportunity to review your children's, I think one of your children had
Yeah.
a CTAC,
Did it?
I guess 2.
And,
Did you have an opportunity to review those?
Yeah.
And are you
there's a lot
familiar?
on there that we've already engaging already, and there's more that still needs to be continued.
Wonderful, thank you for answering that.
Yeah.
At home, is there anything that the department could assist with that might make things easier or better at this point in time?
I think we're engaging in pretty much almost all the services that we can attend at the moment. We finish one and then we can have more time for another one. No.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Mr. Patterson.
Okay.
all right, hang on. Questions, Ms. Stang,
No, thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
Do you think that Ms. Double covered that 5% that you dispute in that court report?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that she didn't cover that you want to mention or not? No. Okay.
Alright.
Is there anything, it seems as though we're progressing very nicely, but is there anything else that we can do for you to help you progress better that you can think of?
Let me know if there's anything else you want.
You have a pretty good relationship and good contact with the worker, right? So you're just asking that if there's something else that she reaches out to you, is that right? What's the best way for her to reach out to you?
Well, now it's gonna be through her because my phone doesn't work right.
So you're saying that
It's
she
been
should
messed
reach
up
out,
about 2 weeks.
so through Ms. Double, correct?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm glad we have that. And I have no further questions. We'll see if anybody else does.
Ms. Dumont?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Heiss?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. May I return your seat?
Thank you.
Anyone else you'd like us to hear from, Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor, I'll Ms. Grant tell you the foundation for the report. Thank you, Ms. Grant. Today you have prepared a court report with several attachments. since you've prepared this and circulated it, are there any other documents that have been circulated?
That have been since? No.
Yes. Okay. Generally, the Ms. Double and Mr. Patterson are compliant with their case service plan, and we've heard from Mr. Doobie about his lack of compliance. At this time, what is the risk if the court were to close out its jurisdiction and permit the family to move forward without additional oversight?
So we just have a few things within the the case service plans and the CTACs that we're finishing up with. I know that Faith had stated that she had it reviewed, but we did have an FTM. I think she just is overwhelmed with the amount of things going on. We had an FTM and we did go through each and every individual recommendation on all of the kids' CTACs. And that included the parenting classes that they're currently finishing, following up with through the National Trauma Assessment Center that were recommended for all the children's CTACs. Additionally, there is just a couple things for M that we're kind of working on to finishing up. Overall, they're doing well. The biggest thing that would be the concern right now to end today would just be setting up forward for the future in both psychologicals. I know that they had stated they didn't agree with a lot of it, but it also states that once structured supports were removed, that there's concerns that old habits would kind of fall back into place. And I want to make sure that we get the rest of that structure for them set up so that we're not back here in the future.
As relates to Mr. Doobie, while he's incarcerated for the next 60 or so days, what resources can be provided to him?
So we're going to work on getting him the workbooks for parenting education that he's able to do while incarcerated. We will not be able to complete like a psychological referral while he is incarcerated. The person who he was referred to previously doesn't take re-referrals because she's virtual and due to the no-show rate. However, so he would have to be referred to somebody that does in person. Being that he's incarcerated, he is not able to obtain that at this time, although I could reach out to her and ask again if she would be willing since he is incarcerated. Sorry, I lost track of the rest of the question. I apologize.
Just what services you could provide to Mr. Doobie while he's incarcerated?
Yeah, so sorry. So there were those two on the list, and then additionally having him complete the AA that is offered. He had reported that there might have also been NA offered to him while he is incarcerated. So starting there and then moving to his substance abuse and mental health treatment when he is released.
Is there anything else that you'd like to highlight from your court report or any of the attachments?
I don't think so.
In addition to IHT, are there any other therapeutic services that the family may need or benefit from?
So Jay will continue to see the in-home therapist. He will do individual along with family therapy as IHT has ended and they're working on that transition. Faith and Jeff had to get insurance. Faith's insurance will cover her and the family therapy for JJ within the correct plan. The issue we're going to run into is the barrier for Jeff due to the fact that all of the children through Medicaid are claimed under Faith. And my understanding when I followed up is that the program through Medicaid that Jeff qualifies for is a very basic program. It doesn't cover a lot of mental health, medical treatments, those kind of things. It is a very basic, there's really no appropriate way to say this, but it's really more for females who are pregnant with reproductive than it is for general medical. So it's really trying to find a service provider that will take that, as there's no way for him to change his plan because he doesn't have any children that he claims on taxes. So until that time, which isn't until, January to April next year, he's probably going to be stuck in this medical plan until that time.
Is there any referral sources or is this something that the department may be able to cover
in the meantime
in some other fashion?
So that's something I'm going to have to talk with our funding to see if we can draw up like an individual contract for him to handle like the last individual things. He would not be able to see Mr. Quinlan, who sees JJ and Faith, due to conflict of interest, but Chris was more than willing to do any referrals for Jeff or somebody within, you know, the Parkside unit that would handle that. So it's something we're gonna have to explore. The insurance issue finally came to light when they were approved within the last 2 weeks. So we've been working on that pretty diligently to see if there was a way to switch his plan or anything else like that. Faith and I had actually just been talking about it Thursday, Friday last week, and I got an answer from like an upper manager late Friday afternoon. I was able to review this morning before coming in, so.
And generally, if you're, everything indicates the children are generally doing fine in their parents' care or with Faith and Jeff at this time.
Correct.
And as relates to Mr. Juby, we know that he's been incarcerated, and then there'll be this substance abuse program that he's going to need to complete. What would be the parenting time recommendation until before we come back for?
If he is able to have them, at Lenawee County, I don't think they allow parenting time while he's incarcerated there. Following that, he'll be going to Dawn Farms, and I'm not sure what their, I guess, allowance or parenting time on that is. I would have to follow up with them regarding that. One thing in the CTEX was that he was not having parenting time until he is engaged in doing part of his substance abuse and case service plan. So as long as he is engaging and making progress, we can look at supervised parenting time, depending on what it is at Dawn Farms. If it's once a week, twice a week, obviously it would be supervised, but a lot of it is going to depend on their policy and procedures also.
With that, I have no further questions of Ms. Grant. I move to admit the court report with the attachments.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you. They're received. Questions for this witness, Ms. Stang?
Yes, just one. Ms. Grant, you've reported that Austin does have releases signed for DHS to speak with providers, but that a new release would need to be signed for Austin's new probation officer. Is that still the case?
Yeah, I tried to send it and I haven't heard back from with the old one that was already sent. I haven't heard back. He had mentioned he needed to sign releases also with his new probation provider, but I can send a new release on our end to the jail and have them sign it or stop in and go down there. That's not a problem. It's just when I had wrote the court report, I hadn't had a chance to do that yet.
Okay, thank you. I actually have one more question. So you also reported that he is still having contact with Miss Double, obviously against his no contact order. However, I believe at the last hearing, you stated that you intended to contact his probation officer to see if that could be modified to allow contact regarding the children. Am I remembering that correctly?
I don't remember.
Okay, well, I guess then, is that something that you think would be appropriate? Since we did hear testimony from Ms. Double that they were contacting regarding the children, is that something that you think would be appropriate for them to be able to do?
If that's something that his probation officer is allowing, the reason no contact is the charge is related to a physical altercation between the two of them. So while I do think he has a right to know about his kiddos, I do the best I can to inform him, but I know that he has more constant contact with Faith regarding his kiddos. So it would really be his probation officer's call if he or she, I believe it's a he now, believes it's appropriate.
Okay, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. McFarland?
3 questions. Would you believe that the parents who are here in the courtroom today, personally, that their assessment about how their cases are going would reflect how you view their cases progressing?
Yes.
Are you asking for a 90-day review?
Yes.
Is there a distinct possibility that if they progress as they are now, that there could be a request to close the case in 90 days?
Yes.
Nothing further.
All right, Ms. Dumont?
1 second. Ms. Grant, have you spoken with Ms. Double with regards to the placement of JJ and Aurora? With regards to them possibly being placed with her?
They are placed with her. I guess I don't understand what.
I believe she means closing the case out and her getting.
Like a permanent planning.
Yes.
Yes, we've discussed that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you advise what you've discussed with her with regards to that?
Sure. So we've talked about possibly, as long as things are going well in the case, that a permanency planning hearing would possibly be moving forward, that that recommendation would come. In the case to be closed with all 4 being placed with her, the concern would be the loophole of Austin and how that would proceed moving forward, given his noncompliance in the case service plan, placing them with her, rather it is a custody through their custody order where he doesn't have time, or if it comes down to possible looking at his rights.
Are you willing to speak on behalf of JJ and Aurora, having a permanency planning hearing sooner than the children shared with Mr. Doobie, seeing as there's not necessarily a risk of harm?
I guess.
So do you believe that the 90-day review period is still necessary to get to that point, or what are your thoughts on that?
I guess it would depend if the court wants to look at it as 2 and 2 or as one giant.
Okay, but your recommendation with JJ and Aurora would be to
Yes, I think they're doing very well with.
Okay, and there's no risk of harm at this point with regards to that.
They're working pretty cooperative with me. I don't think there's a risk of harm for me regarding right now removing or anything, if that's what you're asking. They're doing really well. There's a couple of things with JJ we just have to finish up, but he's doing really great. They're doing great.
Okay, and is there anything else you'd like to see from Ms. Double at this point?
We're just gonna keep trucking along, working on her individual, making sure the transition to family therapy and everything goes well, and
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Hines, any questions?
Ms. Grant, I think in this case history, we have a court order for the custody of, trying to think, one custody is, it's not sufficient with Mr. Doobie's case to release custody and because he has joint physical custody, correct?
correct.
How many hours, can you estimate how many hours you put into looking for him, for this family?
I know the family put in a lot of hours. I know that the department made a lot of phone calls trying to track him down. We knocked on a couple of doors. We went to some of the hotels, following up right behind the grandparents, looking for him. I would say it's quite a bit. I don't know if I could give you a full estimate of what that is.
All right. Thank you, I have nothing further.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Any recross?
Oh, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you for your testimony. May I return to your seat? Anyone else you'd like us to hear from, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Stang,
I have no witnesses or evidence. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland,
Thank you.
Ms. Dumont,
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Heiss.
No witnesses, thank you.
Comments in closing, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are asking for a 90-day if the court deems that a permanency planning hearing is appropriate. I didn't double check to see what today's hearing was noticed for. But I think that Ms. Grant testified very accurately regarding the concerns and the risk of harm to the children if we were to close jurisdiction right now. One, obviously, is a custody matter with Mr. Doobie, but then two, both the psychological evaluations for Mr. Patterson and Ms. Double indicate, well, for Mr. Patterson, sort of just going through the motions to get things done. And whether there's a sincere engagement and going to be continued benefit from services, the report indicates that we should review the report with caution, given that lack of engagement, so to speak. And it was related to Ms. Double, again, that there's some significant treatment that needs to be put in place before we're able to comfortably get out to ask the court to release that jurisdiction, because we do want the parents to make better, have better decision-making, have better judgment, and to be able to safely have their children in their care and custody. So with that, Your Honor, I am asking the court for another 90-day review for all of the children. I think that Mr. Doobie is also in a position where perhaps he can maintain his sobriety longer term and engage in and benefit from some of those substance abuse services that would permit him to safely parent his children. And with that, I think that parenting time for Mr. Doobie be suspended pending our next review hearing, given the CTAC recommendations. I think that there needs to be a demonstrated period of sobriety and compliance with treatment in order to know that it's going to be maintained and that there won't be this inconsistent parenting time with the children, which would pose a risk of harm to their emotional well-being. Thank you.
Ms. Stang?
We would just request another 90-day review period as well to allow Mr. Doobie to finish out his sentence and then hopefully get into that facility after and continue to work on himself and the issues that obviously brought him into this case. But other than that, nothing. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
I'm pleased that the agency believes that there may be a request to close the case at the next review, provided both parents who are here in court continue on the same path, and they have their plates full, and they're doing that. So kudos to them.
Ms. Dumont, any comments?
Your Honor, Ms. Double wants the court to take into consideration the ability to have a permanency planning hearing with the 2 minor children that she has with Mr. Patterson. She believes by the time that would be heard, everything that she needs to have done will be completed. She's been compliant throughout this entire process, has completed in-home therapy and has continued counseling with Chris Quinlan. And what she would like to see is to be able to have those kids back without any jurisdiction from the department.
Ms. Heiss?
Your Honor, I think we're trying to build on the progress and to motivate the family to continue to comply. The key difference in this case, you know, we've been open only 6 months, but yeah, about 6 months almost. But the cooperation from the parents and the partnership between the family and the caseworker, I think is something we should build on. It's given us a glimpse inside this family. We aren't hoping for this to be something that closes and changes something in the family. I would hope that the family feels that they are going to continue the services. So whether the case is open or closed, but I understand the impulse to want the true interest, genuine interest in wanting the case closed. But this is something that'll sustain for a long time. And I think everybody's being hopeful and encouraging because the cooperation from the parents has made all the difference. They have a lot going on. They have a lot of strengths. And we finally saw it. We finally saw into what Ms. Double does with all her parenting, and Mr. Patterson, he really is active with those kids. So I will be looking forward also to closing the case. But you know, this family, I know there's two different dads, but they really operate as a whole. They go everywhere together. I don't understand how it all happens, but it does. And I think that to keep all the kids' cases open and maybe close all of them in 90 days would benefit everyone. The agency was minimizing the amount of time they put into finding Mr. Doobie. It was really stressful for a minute, making sure that his kids had their dad and that nothing bad had happened to him. So I don't know what'll happen with his case in the future, but I think that we should at this time suspend his visits for the benefit of the kids, even though we're so grateful that he's half healthy and where he can't hurt himself at this point. And moving forward, we'll have to address that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. The parents and parties were given notice for purposes of today's review hearing. It was not scheduled as a permanency planning hearing. The children are subject to the court's jurisdiction on an in-home jurisdiction order. That means that they're still with their parents. And so we have a little more time to look at permanency options because they have effectively begun their services and jurisdiction with reunification, which is great. I think the reasons that the court is going to continue jurisdiction are really very well said by the comments in the IHT review. They're going to be focusing in the next 2 months on the goals established for treatment with the family and any new needs that may arise. Collaboration with DHS, CMH, the school, and the Boys and Girls Club needs to continue. Additions and alterations that need to take place include making sure that Jeffrey and Faith, the parents, incorporate the rules of fair fighting into their daily lives, helping JJ get along with his siblings, helping JJ give words to his feelings so he can express his needs, and working with Faith, Jeffrey, and JJ to help decrease his defiance. He's got some case management needs. Needs to continue to have his ADHD symptoms managed. So there's a lot of concerns about this particular child here, as well as coordination with other service providers within the community. And a lot of that is what brought us here in the first place. These are not your average kids. They've got some needs here, and we need the parents to be able to demonstrate that they're able to continue to meet those needs. That's further demonstrated by the comprehensive trauma assessment. The one for JJ is really long. There's a lot of reading materials for the parents in this one as well. And unfortunately, I'm getting the impression, even as I said here, that both of these parents are just trying to get through this and do what needs to be done in order to get the court out of their lives. I don't want to be in your life, and I don't think anybody else does either. But what we want is for you to make sure that your kids get what they need and are in a safe environment where they're not further traumatized. I don't want them on my juvenile delinquency docket, for example. I don't want them looking at me from a Zoom room where Mr. Doobie is coming from. So that's why jurisdiction is going to stay open, so that you can demonstrate that you've made significant and meaningful changes in your lives and in the lives of your children. I can see you, Ms. Double. I can see you rolling your eyes, and I don't appreciate the fact that you are utilizing quite a huge amount of community resources and being flippant about it. So please.
I've done everything that they've asked me to do, literally.
Okay, that's not going to help you get out from underneath the courts and supervision, because that's not what I see from here. I see some positive changes, and that's encouraging. But I also see you reappearing here again. And that's what we're trying to avoid. So I look forward to the further developments in the next report period. And we'll have our next review on January 6th in the afternoon. As it relates to the request to suspend Mr. Doobie's parenting time, I think that's going to happen de facto as because of the amount of incarceration time that he's looking at through the county and their lack of resources to support parenting time. By the time we get back for our next review hearing, hopefully he will be engaged in his services, but I don't think that there's a reason that I would need to suspend that parenting time, because if he does get into those services and he's able to safely visit with his children, I would hope we would know. I will say we'll make his visitation subject to the assessment of the professionals, many of which are already involved clearly in the lives of the children. So we'll look forward to reviewing jurisdiction, safety measures around Mr. Doobie and his children, as well as the rest of the services, and we'll have our next review on January 6th at 2:30 p.m. Unless there's any questions, it's over. I'll have this order ready for you in a few minutes. You don't have to sit in the courtroom if you don't. Good afternoon. We are on record for what looks like it's been acted as our third regular review in this file. May I have the names of our participants, please, beginning with our guardian ad litem.
Carson Howard, lawyer, guardian ad litem.
Ms. Stasia Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Grant.
Chelsea Grant with the department.
And on behalf of the parents.
Michael McFarland, representing father. Jeffrey.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Ariel Berger here on behalf of mother.
Do you double? Sorry, that's okay.
Alexis staying on behalf of respondent father Austin Doobie.
Okay, Mr. Doobie, could you give us your name? Thank you. Perfect. All right, very good. Today is also a permanency planning hearing, just so everyone's aware. I look forward to your report, Mr. Howitt, whenever you're ready.
Your Honor, I met with the 4 children in my office on December 23rd. Everything seems to be going well with the 4 children. They exhibited extremely normal behavior for their age. Seem to be meeting with normal developmental benchmarks. We would recommend that we close this case as regards to Faith Doobie.
Okay. Did you talk to the kids about their preferences?
Yes, they all are prefer. Well, with as respects to JJ, who's the oldest child, he prefers to stay with his mother, and then the rest of the children are younger and seem to be doing well in their current placement with their mother. We did
Could
not.
you speak up just a little?
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a fan closer to you. Yeah, it's the bigger piece.
Yeah. Yes, we at the meeting we did speak with JJ and the 3 other children, Aurora, Malachi, and Braxton, and all, especially JJ, who's a bit older and can make a better determination of what's best for him. He did explain to me that he would prefer to be with his mother. The 3 younger children, we did not talk as much about what would be in their best wishes. I do believe it is in their best interest to remain with their mother.
Thank you. Testimony today, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. I will call Ms. Grant to provide her report.
Witness stand.
Ms. Grant, you are the ongoing caseworker in this matter. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And you provided a court report for today's hearing?
That is correct.
And are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to it?
The only update I would make is that I did receive a call from Austin this morning stating that he was in Harbor Light. I have not had a chance to verify that to be accurate. I see he is here on Zoom. I did make contact with his probation officer also this morning, who stated that he has also tried to contact Harbor Light to verify he was actually there, but that has not taken place, as that was just this morning.
Thank you. And during this review period, it seems that Ms. Double and Mr. Patterson have been very compliant with their case service plan and have benefited from the services. Do you have any concerns about the children's safety or well-being in their care at this time?
I do not. Faith and Jeff have, followed through on things during this reporting period. They definitely have exhibited some behaviors that we would want to see from parents, especially with regards to, for example, an assessment was completed for MD where he had failed his eye exam, needed glasses. Mom was very proactive without me even needing to ask her or follow up with her. She got him an appointment, got him in, got him assessed, and was able to meet those needs without the additional reminders and additional reminders and encouragement and push to get those things met and done for the children. And that's just one example.
And at this time, one of the things from the last hearing that really needed to be monitored, it seems like, was the progress in IHT. I know that you've included a report, a closing summary from the IHT therapist. Can you just briefly elaborate on how the family benefited from that service during this past review period?
Sure. So during this past reporting period, once IHT wrapped up, Faith and the oldest child, Jay, continued to be involved with the IHT therapist individually. So much so that this child and his therapist have such a strong bond that this practitioner will be leaving the facility that he's at now, and both mom and this child will be following him to the new facility that he'll be at. Additionally, the behaviors in the home have decreased where the oldest child has made substantial progress enough that he's been discharged from community mental health services, and they have transferred things to his pediatrician in the meantime. Due to his past behaviors and things she's not comfortable monitoring long-term. However, the appropriate steps are already being made to transfer his medication to also be included at ACPC along with his counseling services.
Wonderful. And one of the concerns was whether the parents would continue to participate, engage, and benefit in services if there was no more oversight. Do you have that concern at this point in time?
I think that they are pretty involved. I think Faith and Jeff also recognize what would be at risk if that were to fall through. JJ has made substantial progress, both even at school and at home. Malachi also continues to have the support. Mom is very engaging when it comes to that. So I think that at this point, mom would continue to engage in her own therapy and services moving forward.
And I know that we're talking a lot about Mr. Patterson and Ms. Stubble. The report as relates to Mr. Doobie is sort of limited because he was incarcerated and then in rehab centers of treatment. At this time, do you still recommend case closure for the entire family?
At this point, I think that if we were to continue with Mr. Doobie's progress, he had been discharged from, I believe it was Don Farms. Sorry, I'm blinking for a second here, I apologize. Due to his own behavior, his inability to be mature, have conversations with people, he had to be put on an accountability plan. Being back in Harbor Light, I would assume he would be back at square one, having to make progress. And when we look at his overall case service plan, he hasn't made much of any substantial progress there. In having a conversation with his therapist at Don Farms, he also stated that he would be concerned regarding Austin's ability to be unsupervised with his children due to his impulsive nature. So if the friend of the court were to be changed where he would not have any parenting at all until he was able to demonstrate his sobriety and stability, I think that would be sufficient as long as Faith and Jeff also understand that he cannot be around the children until he is stable himself.
I believe your report indicates, and I'm just trying, in my records, I'm also trying to find this, that Mr. Doobie's parenting time was suspended back in October of 23.
Correct. So the original front of the court, it was suspended through the front of the court. Yes.
Okay. And so at this point in time, if the court were to release jurisdiction, his parenting time would remain suspended. Is that the best of your understanding based on the information you have?
If it would default to the old front of the court, yes, I do believe so.
Okay. Historically, there's been some concern about whether Ms. Stubble and Mr. Doobie can, in fact, not contact one another. Do you still have that concern?
I think both within the last couple of weeks have stated that they don't want to continue to have contact with each other. I believe through the front of the court, there would have to be some kind of third party or the parenting app put in place where it's strictly about the children, rather that be the app close or My Family Wizard for the only contact between the two of them. I think that would be an ongoing concern in general, as they both do go back and forth quite often, even with a no contact in place with through his probation.
Okay. But given the, I guess, safeguards in place, such as the no contact through probation, the custody order that currently suspends his parenting time, which is also reflective in the trauma assessment, do you believe that it is sufficient and safe enough for this court to release its jurisdiction over this family?
I do. I think as long as both parents are following that, I do think it is sufficient enough at this time.
Okay. And are there any other updates from your court report that you would like to highlight?
I don't think so.
Thank you. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions of Ms. Grant and move to admit the court report and its attachments.
No objections.
No objection.
No objections.
Very well, thank you. They are admitted. Questions for this witness, Ms. Stang?
Yes, just briefly. Were you actually able to talk to Mr. Doobie's therapist, or did you receive that information through another party?
No, I specifically talked to him at the treatment center, both when I scheduled my visit and when I saw him in person.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Questions, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Howitt, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for your testimony. May you return to your seat. Anyone else you'd like us to hear from, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Stang, any witnesses today?
No, thank you.
Ms. Berger?
Ms. Doobie, would you like to testify today?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. No, Your Honor.
You're double.
It is double.
It's double, right? Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That's okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something.
I thought she said double.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we've got it straightened out. Mr. McFarland?
My client does not wish to testify.
All right, any witness testimony today, Mr. Howitt?
No, Your Honor.
Very good. I look forward to your closing remarks, beginning with Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe that there are sufficient safeguards at this point in time for this family moving forward as relates to any parenting time for Mr. Doobie. And they do have access to from the court or this court to modify that parenting time if the time ever comes and this court sees fit. The family is apprised of the findings and the trauma assessments. And I don't believe that there are any other services at this time that this family could benefit from through the protective proceeding. So we are asking the court to release its jurisdiction and not schedule anything else. Thank you.
Any comments, Ms. Stang?
Yes, just that we're in support of case closure and allowing Mr. Doobie to continue to work on himself. And when he's ready and gets to the point where he's able, he can petition to the front of the court to modify his parenting time.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Berger?
Thank you, Your Honor. We too are in support of case closure. It's refreshing to see such a positive court report again here and that the agency has been able to successfully help this family and close this case. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
I'm gonna say ditto. I don't think I can say anything better.
Okay, Mr. Howard?
No, Your Honor, we echo whatever all the other interested parties have said so far.
Thank you. Well, the court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's review and permanency planning hearing. It is unanimous. All of our attorneys and service providers and experts are aligned in finding that it's time to recognize a pattern of success that has characterized at least this last report period. I can see that as well in the certificates of education and many of the remarks, Ms. Double, that you wanted passed along to me made it into the court report as well. So congratulations to both of you for the progress that you've made. Best of luck continuing that moving forward. It is the order of the court that the children are released from the jurisdiction of the court in this case file to parents, Jeffrey Patterson and Faith Double, and Mr. Doobie, of course, subject to the friend of the court orders from this point moving forward. So you won't have to answer to me, but whatever the friend of the court has in place for you will govern moving forward.
All right.
Unless there's any questions, that's all for today.